Hi there, this is Gary Ryan Blair. Today we're going to talk about leadership, specifically what it is, why it exists, and how to lead effectively. It would be a mistake to underestimate the profound impact on our national consciousness of stories of callousness, greed, violence, and deceit by some people, and of the never-ending barrage of scandals among high-profile leaders and celebrities. More and more these days, we're called upon to evaluate leadership and to understand events in terms of character. And this message is meant to be a raw and honest, candid conversation about the current state of leadership, specifically what it is, why it exists, and how to be a great leader, as well as a number of issues in need of repair directly due to leaders behaving badly. So let's address the first question. Why do leaders exist, and what is their purpose? Well, leaders in every case are stewards of a nation, a company, a team, or a family ideals. And a steward is a caretaker, someone who holds something in trust on behalf of others. It's not a behavior that's motivated out of self-interest or out of special interest. Leaders exist to protect cherished values and core beliefs like freedom and privacy, not to undermine them and to sell them out. Leaders exist to sustain and to inspire hopes for a bigger, brighter, and a bolder future, not to sacrifice the future, nor to burden future generations for their self-serving, short-term gain. Leaders exist to provide vision, to foster self-reliance, and to help drive positive results for all. Certainly not to manipulate, to weaken, and to deceive those in their care. Leadership is truly about choosing service over self-interest. And leadership properly performed is an exercise in outgoing and ongoing concern for others, including defining and setting boundaries as needed. Unfortunately, the rap sheet of political and corporate corruption, abuse of power, investor greed, deceptive business practices, and dishonesty masquerading as success is long and getting more disturbing by the day. This type of behavior is systemic, it's malignant, and it's global, like cancer. The behavior of way too many people in leadership positions can be directly summarized as follows. The first, they care more about quarterly performance, short-term gains in stock prices, self-interest, ego gratification, and getting reelected, a lot more than they do about the long-term viability of a company, a community, or a country. They do not even seem to notice that the two goals are in direct conflict. Now, why do I know this? With 3 magic words. Behavior never lies. And number 2, their short-term greed, their personal and party wins, along with their unwillingness to think through the long-term consequences of their behavior, leads them to be more interested in appearances over substance, character, and fiduciary responsibilities. And as a result, they lie to get elected, they manipulate financial results, they create diversions and propaganda, they engage in diabolical business practices, they devise loopholes, game the system to their advantage, and willingly sacrifice future generations for their own personal gain. They parade around thinking of themselves as a force for good and as a beacon for honesty and transparency. But they've proven again and again that they prefer a lucrative, self-serving lie over an expensive truth. And a third, in the short-sightedness, they sell their souls to the seduction of money, of power, and other forms of greed. They use their position and power to intimidate, to manipulate, to control, and silence those in their care while serving their true desires of their dark masters. And because of leaders behaving badly, we have become a world led by arrogant, self-serving elitists, and their weapon of choice is institutionalized bribery. And as a result of this deplorable behavior, a small number of wealthy people, economic elites, and corporations exert a large degree of control over the general population. They stack the deck in their favor, they play with loaded dice, and they fix the rules of the game so that they win, and both you and I lose. Now let's turn our attention on the bright side, on the solution and the core attribute for being a great leader. See, leadership is all about one enduring quality, and that is character. Popularity is temporary, change is often unpredictable, and interest rates will always fluctuate, but only character endures. It is the one true constant. And for leaders to be effective, there must be uncompromising emphasis on integrity of character. And if you doubt this, I want you to consider these questions. What type of person do you want your daughter or son to marry? See, it's time people stop pretending that driving results was more important than demonstrating good character. And if you're unable to achieve victory with honor, just don't take the job, because character really does count. Stewardship is only virtuous if the good of the community is sought out and achieved above all else by its steward. A steward, then, is an individual who upholds what is best for all people even if it may not be in their own self-interest to do so. In addition to protecting values and beliefs, good stewards live those values as a model and as an example for others to follow. So why is this important? Well, it's important because throughout your life, you'll find yourself thrust into many different leadership roles. You will be called upon to be a steward of what is right and good, what is lasting and of value for those in your care. And the quality of your stewardship depends greatly on what you perceive a steward to be, on how you think about other people, on the seriousness of your commitment, and most importantly, on how you determine what is right, what is good, and worth holding in trust. Leadership is everybody's business, as it's an issue that affects all of us. Not only are we impacted by it, we are all called upon to exercise it in a number of temporary situations. See, whether we're called upon to be involved in leading government or business, coaching a team, educating young minds, leading a family, organizing a dinner party, a carpool, a household, or standing for what is right, each one of us participates in leadership roles. So the questions you need to consider are the following. Are you the kind of person that others want to follow? Do you walk your talk and set an example worth emulating? See, the answer to those questions depends on your character. As a strong leader, sets a strong example. No one, under any circumstances, should ever be appointed to or to accept a leadership role unless they're willing to have his or her character serve as the model for others to emulate. How many times can you demonstrate poor character before becoming too weak to overcome the big challenges that you're destined to confront? See, violations of honesty and integrity dilute your strength, they suppress your psychological immune system, and they chip away at your self-esteem. And people do have an indisputable divine right to expect and to demand good character and exemplary character from their leaders. Therefore, we must lead with character or we must get out of the way. And the true test and strength of an enterprise, a family, or a church is not to be found in their products or services, but in the character of their leaders. The character of the leader is the conscience of the community. It's character through which leadership is exercised, it's character that sets the example, and it's character that gets imitated. It's worth noting that character is not concerned with political correctness. It's only concerned with doing the right thing. And people with character understand that what works is not necessarily what is right, even when they can get away with less, even when the wrong thing seems like no big deal, even when no one is watching. See, life is full of curious and meaningful paradoxes, but steward leadership is one such paradox that will serve you well in all of your leadership roles and for each day of your life. So before you take on a leadership role, you need to ask yourself a few, actually 3 simple but very important questions to determine your worthiness. The first, am I the type of leader whom others want to follow? Number 2, if everyone modeled my behavior, what kind of culture would be created? And number 3, what can I do to set an excellent leadership example that inspires friends, family, and associates to raise the bar in their own performance? Now, I want you to heed this warning. You will pay a price for demonstrating high standards and strong principles. And while people may be impressed and respect you, they won't always like you. You'll wrestle with inner conflict, buyer's remorse will definitely set in, you're likely to obtain a few battle scars as you exercise good character. Nonetheless, carry on. See, we live in an age that increasingly sacrifices personal responsibilities at the altar of personal freedoms. And we fail individually and collectively to take seriously the importance of character. We begin to self-destruct. The history leaves us with enough clues to believe with confidence that we can only experience true success and happiness by making character the bedrock of our lives. People follow the leader, and you are the leader.